Hello and welcome. In this video, I'm going to be going through the final stages of putting together this paper cutting, which is of the pagoda at the Kōshōji Temple on Mount Iwafune near Tochigi City in Tochigi Prefecture, Japan. So as with all of my pieces, I try and do something a little bit different, and this one is no exception. So what you see before you here is what it's pretty much going to look like at the end, but the reason I'm starting from here is because I haven't put it all together yet, and so I'm just going to kind of work in reverse and show how this piece came together. So I'll start just kind of by taking it apart here so you can see the layers. Typically I don't have this many layers of separate colored paper, and this was the big change, or the newest part of this one that I set out to try. So we have the one layer of the grass there on top of another layer of grass, and then we have these leaves here on top of another layer of leaves. Just kind of stuck in there. We have the black layer. And another layer of leaves and the sky. So from the picture I started with, as always I printed it out. So there were a few things to decide with this one. I took a lot of pictures of this pagoda, and this was the angle that I liked best, but obviously there were some things that I changed that I knew I would have to change. So these trees here I didn't really like, just because they took up so much of the picture. I knew I kind of wanted to leave these trees here just to give it that sense of being in a forest type setting, which obviously it is. So I chose to keep these three trees, and I figured I'll just kind of figure out what to do with these later. And so from here, as always, I blew it up and did the black layer first. And so this one was easy enough. So as you can see, I kept those two big trees, this tree here, and obviously the pagoda. So this was the initial drawing, which became the black layer of paper. So I cut that all out and put the papered pieces, or the colored pieces of paper, obviously behind there to make the pagoda. And then the leaves was a lot of trial and error. I started with this layer here, which is from its own separate drawing. So that one fits on top of there. So that one was its own layer. So I'll put that there. So that's kind of what I started from. I thought, okay, that looks good. And then for this part, that was a lot of trial and error. So I started by making some tree type shapes, but didn't really like that. And so it was just too dark, which I kind of had a sense would be an issue with all the black there. And but I also knew that I wanted to kind of layer some things in behind these trees. So the first layer that I did, or the first pieces that I did to add to this, were these leaves here. Now you can see they're pretty much identical except for that one. So I cut out both layers at once. I did a separate drawing for these, but I think I must have gotten rid of that drawing. So anyway, you can see that layer there. I thought that looked pretty good. So that was simple enough. And then what I wanted to do here, that ended up taking quite a bit of time, but I eventually settled on these guys here. And so this again was its own drawing. And I cut out both layers. So you can see they're kind of identical there, but just going to offset them to create that effect there. And the picture that I used was for these leaves, and these ones as well was from a lot of the other pictures that I took around this pagoda, so it kind of matched just because they are actually there. And so this part took quite a bit of time as well, just figuring out which tree I wanted to put them behind. So that, didn't really like how that looked with this tree in front. So I eventually, again, a lot of trial and error, stuck that in there, put that there, add these here. And so that was that. And then for the sky, I had some other watercolors that I had used for other skies and other pieces, and so I know I wanted to use that, but I also had some other pieces with some acrylic paint because the whites really pop, which they don't really do with the watercolor. So the blue is a watercolor and then the white is some acrylic paint. And so now it's just a matter of finding the right spot on there. So I'll work on that after, but that's essentially how it's going to look once everything's put together. So here we have the finished piece. It's all matted up, as you can see. I played around with the leaves quite a bit, just shifted them around to get them to a spot that I thought looked best. The clouds as well, obviously. So you can see, still have the layers. And so I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. Wasn't exactly sure when I started, but I think it turned out pretty well. And as I say with each piece, I try something new. So with this one, this is the first time I've done layers like this. So I think that's something I'll be using in future pieces. And since they're sitting right here, I have another couple of pieces that I can show in this video, just as a bonus. So this is Kaminoyama-jo. It's Kaminoyama Castle in Yamagata Prefecture, another place I was able to visit last October. So you can see the layers there. And same thing with this one as well. I think it's likely something I'm going to go with this sky for future pieces. You can see the texture of the acrylic paint there. And as I said, I just really like the way it really pops as opposed to the watercolor. And so I have one other piece here that I just finished. So this is kind of just a practice piece, I guess you could say. Faces are very difficult, so I knew I needed more practice. And this is Matsushima Nanako from The Ring. I just paused the movie and took a picture and worked from that. I've been a fan of hers for quite a while, so I figured I'd just try making a paper cutting from that. So this one took quite a bit of experimentation. It's always tough to find where to put the different colors and layers. So I think it turned out all right, but I will keep working on portraits because, like I said, they're very difficult. So anyways, that's some bonus content for you. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.